Hey guys, welcome back. This is Valgamma from Dreamlight. In today's video, I'm going to show you how we can mix Cyberpunk 2077 screenshots with DAZ Studio characters. Now, we can take these screenshots on a PC, like I'm doing right now, or on a PlayStation, or on an Xbox. Pretty much the same. Now, before you start grabbing your screenshot, locate the location you want to be at and pause the game. And here you can actually skip time, and this is quite important because depending on what time you are selecting or being at, the lighting will differ. And I want to do nighttime because I want it to kind of look cool and a little bit more mysterious, right? So having that said, I'm just gonna unpause the game and simply select a cool camera framing. And what I want to do is make sure that the camera is kind of aiming not at the center but kind of slightly as a diagonal, so we have that perspectiveness going on and flowing through the image. Then what I'm going to do is simply engage photo mode. Then I'm going to select camera, first perspective, and pretty much have everything here just turned off, right? And then we're going to just hide the UI like so, and we're going to take the screenshot with X. Perfect. So now that we have that done, we're gonna exit Cyberpunk, and where you can find the photo is under your images, and then there is a folder called Cyberpunk 277. Let's go in there. And here we can see the screenshot we just took. There we go. All right. Next, we're gonna do a quick stop by Photoshop, and I'm gonna show you how to turn this regular screenshot into a kind of fake HDR, which we're gonna be using as lighting inside DAZ Studio. And once in Photoshop, I'm gonna load the image in here. Cool. And by the way, this is just a 2K image right now. I'm gaming at 4K, but this is just because I was screen recording at the same time. And it doesn't really matter, it doesn't need to be that super huge. It kind of depends on what you're aiming at rendering inside DAZ Studio, right? So having that loaded, what we're gonna do is go to image, mode, 32-bit channel, flatten the image, and then save it as an HDR. Now bear in mind, this is a kind of like a fake HDR. It won't have the normal light span or quality or even being able to be used as an HDR background. It's just going to be used for lighting purposes. All right, so just select HDR format and click on save. That's it. Next, we're going to head into DAZ Studio. All right, so in DAZ Studio, I've already populated my scene with a Gaia character. I've added some cybernetic arm and some fancy hair and glasses and all that, an outfit. And we're gonna now add our background. So there are multiple ways of adding backgrounds inside DAZ Studio, one of which is just a static background. There are other ways of having a more kind of like a background that you can zoom in on and have behind your character. That's a different story, different video. So I'm going to just go to the environment tab, click on backdrop, and here select the JPEG we captured from the game. Very important, all right? The JPEG, not the HDR. Okay, then I'm gonna select white color so that it starts to show, and we're also gonna add a camera. And now I wanna, before matching and adding the light, I wanna just quickly match the camera, so I'm gonna use wireframe for that. Up here you wanna click on show floor, all right, so you actually see the floor. And I'm gonna do a quick match of this so it has the kind of a similar height. And the in-game height is around maybe 1.7, right? So it's just lower a little bit. Aim this and roughly create a similar, you can follow the path of the road. You can see the line here on the road, right? Or the pavement. And this is more important when you're doing a vehicle that's maybe being animated on the set, right? So it's roughly in place, following the pavement over here. And it doesn't need to be exact, especially not when you're doing just a character in front of the camera. All right, so next what I want to do is move my character into place. So I'm going to just click on Gaia and move her a little bit to the right. Maybe too much. All right, and I'm going to move her closer to the camera. So what I want to do is kind of create a sensation that she's filling the frame a little bit more. So I'm gonna put her kind of close to the camera, and now I'm gonna move my camera just to quickly and roughly reposition her. All right, so she ends up being somewhere around, let me back off the camera a bit, somewhere around there, and then I want to move it slightly so I see the cool neon building in the back, but also so we kind of place her right in the left line of the rule of thirds, right? That's why I also took when I was taking the screenshot, I mentioned the perspective view, the angle at which the set is kind of pointing towards this very place, right? So I wanted all the lines in the image to point towards the place where she is standing. So that's an ideal spot to have her on. All right, next we are gonna turn on the NVIDIA Iris Preview. And we're now gonna throw in the lighting, because right now we haven't matched really the lighting. It doesn't really fit, right? So in the environment tab, I wanna click on browse and go to the same folder and choose the HDR image. Now bear in mind, this environment is not the same as this one, right? This one here is the background. This one here is the environment sub-tab of the render settings, right? Now, this is a little bit too dark, right? So let's maybe amplify 2 times. Let's see how that looks. Something-ish like that, maybe even 6. So you can pretty much individually control how the lighting now affects her. You can see that the neon comes from the right angle here, right? You can also rotate this, obviously. You can rotate this from multiple angles, and that would change how it affects her. And you want to pretty much match what's going on in the scene, but you can fake it slightly. Also, you can add additional lights on top of that, right? So what I want to do is slightly maybe do a little bit more rotation so I get a little bit more kind of from the neon. I mean, it looks pretty good. It blends pretty well. So next we want to draw the dome. Why? Because we want to feel the reflections in the sunglasses. All right. So we are almost done. I would say I want to just back her off a little bit from the camera. Kind of cropping away the line of the stockings or stay-ups. Yeah, something like that. All right, so we are pretty much done. You can add your own lights, like I said, on top of this. You can add backlights, fillers, extra lights from below, whatnot. And what I'm going to do is simply render this out. So I'm gonna just choose a high quality here and go for render. So DAZ your renders pretty quickly, especially if you have RTX compliant cards. I'm using dual RTX 280 Ti's on this particular PC. So it goes rather quickly, and you can then just wait a few minutes. I'm gonna just wait a few minutes just to get a bit more detail on the hair and so forth and reflections. Alrighty, so after 6, almost 7 minutes, we have the image in good enough quality, so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel, and we're just gonna save the render. All right, close and save last image. There we go. So I'm gonna call this final render BMP. All right, I'm gonna now render a mask, so I'm gonna just click on the environment, remove the image, keep it white, switch over to environment, choose scene only. This blackens the scene, especially if you have one light in it and don't use it. Even if it's turned off here with the eye, if you have one light, it's going to just blacken it completely, right? And just click on render. This is going to render our mask. Now, very important when you render masks, don't use any bloom effects. You want the scene to be pretty clean, all right? So that looks good enough. Let me just go ahead and cancel, and we're going to save mask BMP for maximum quality. All right, so we're pretty much done inside DAZ Studio. Next, we're gonna head into Photoshop. All right, I'm just gonna load both images in here, and here we go. First of all, I'm gonna grab this, go back here, duplicate the image, okay? Now at the very bottom here, I'm gonna click here to create a mask, Alt click on it, and now paste, Ctrl V, use of course Command on a Mac. And now we have a separate layer up here which we can use to control the blurriness. All right, in this case we are blurring the background, so this is one way of blurring the background, right? It's pretty cool. That was kind of neat in a sense. Now, the other thing we can do is, if I click here, alt click on it, we can now adjust it, like invert. So this will now control her instead of the background. And now if I click on this main icon here, the main top layer, and now add a blur effect, we can control the blurriness of her. So the in-game graphics is a little bit softer. So let's look at this in a zoomed in fashion. Something like that. Maybe scale 1 is sufficient. We can pretty much go and blur her slightly, and I mean really slightly, like 0.1 or 2 or something, right? And then she becomes one with the background. Really good blend. And this is important. When you're blending stuff, you want to always make sure that you have the same blurriness level or sharpness level for that matter, right? Now, as a small bonus, I'm gonna throw in a little bit of fog behind her right here inside Photoshop. So how do we do that? Well, we're gonna use black and white and create a new layer and use render clouds. Pretty cool. Now we want this to end up behind her, and that's how we can use this clever mask we just created in here and paste it once again. So that now ends up behind her. Now I want this to fall off and also be blended with the background. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually add a gradient to this right on this layer. First I'm going to apply the layer mask, and then I'm going to create another one down here. Use black and white again, use gradient, and then we're just going to simply add a little bit of blending like so, right? And next, it's way too much of it and also wrong color, right? So step back to the main layer. Now I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to use curves, and we're going to do something more maybe magenta-ish or reddish tinted orangish because we have so much neon here, right? So I'm going to lower the blue to maybe half and lower the green. That's more like it. So pretty much, I don't know, kind of that color suits the neon down here, right? But it's kind of, let's go with something like this, I'd say. It's kind of colorful, maybe too much. Then we're gonna blend it. So I'm gonna use screen to blend it with our image. And of course, it's way too much of it. So on the main top layer here, we can adjust the opacity down, just to, add a little bit of it like that. And also there is an additional thing you can do. You can just apply here the layer mask, create a new one, and add gradients on sides. Hold down shift and just add gradients on the side. So we don't kind of use the fog here on the edge, right? You just use it behind her. And then right click to apply mask, create another one, and just slightly removed here from the edge. Pretty cool. All right. So finally, I'm just gonna flatten the image, and we're gonna jump right here into Nik collection and just add a quick filter. There is always an update. Let's do that later. I'm gonna just use the one I'm using here, which is I think it's pastel. Looks really cool. Just see if we can use a different color. Yeah, let's use the blue tone and click on OK. All right. This filter now becomes a secondary layer you can further adjust into your main render, right? But I think it looks pretty cool the way it does. Maybe we can tone down a little bit. It's a little bit too much. Yeah, I think something like that looks pretty cool. All right, flatten the image and let's jump into Camera Raw. Camera Raw is my favorite. It has so much cool stuff in it. So pretty much, I'm not gonna, add a whole lot of stuff in here, but one thing I always add is vignetting, just to tone down the edges of the image. This is gonna concentrate our attention on the model, right? So just a little bit of that will tune down everything and focus on her. Perfect. I think we can go back to Camera Raw again and just quickly add more, say a little bit of, exposure maybe, or contrast or highlights. I think, I don't like more of everything. I'd like more highlights maybe, just to see if we can punch a little bit. Yeah, definitely. Cool, love that. All right, so there is a whole lot more you can do, of course. Do a new layer first, fill it with black. and just use here lens flare, right? Let's use this one is pretty cool. Or this one, I think this one, I'm gonna use this one. Just add it here where the neon signs are, locate it, and use screen to blend it with your image. Use Control, left mouse click here, and then drag it to where you want to have it. And that just adds an additional layer on top here. Right, and there is an edge at the bottom, so I'm gonna go ahead and create a mask and simply remove it from the equation. Gradient, there you go. Other way. Cool. All right. And of course you can just, scale it down. If you don't want to have full force, you can just add a little bit of it just to add that extra touch to your image. So guys, that's pretty much it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. And if you want to learn more about DAZ Studio, there is a link below the video to our Super 3R Quick Start. You get access to 1 week trial for just $1. Now have fun with your renders. Go ahead, take some screenshots, start blending and having fun. You can use pretty much any game out there. There is a gazillion, games and locations. It never ends, right? So have fun, keep tweaking. Thanks for watching. See you soon again.